and welcome to the mid-year book freakout tag. I can't believe that we're already in the middle of the year, because in my head it's like February, but apparently it's June, so it's time to do this tag, so let's get into the questions. Question number 1 is the best book you've read so far this year, and I've actually got a couple of options for this that I want to shout out. The first one is Human Rights by Juno Dawson, which is the final one in the HMRC series, which is a witchy urban fantasy, and I loved this final book. I mean, I've loved all of the books in this series, but how this book wrapped up the series was absolutely incredible. I loved how it wrapped up all of the characters. I loved the storyline of it as well. It was filled with tension. I never wanted to stop the audiobook while I was listening, and also when it got to the end and I suddenly realised that I was at the end and it was the final time I was ever going to be listening to these characters, I genuinely teared up, which is not something I usually do, so this book has to be on this list to start with. I also need to mention Hell Hunters, which is actually a limited run over at Marvel, which was essentially a story based within World War II, where we're dealing with a teenage Bucky Barnes teaming up with the 1940s version of the Ghost Rider, as well as the Sorcerer Supreme, Peggy Carter, and then also Wolverine, to hunt down demon Nazis. It was spooky, it was gory, and a whole load of fun. I adored every single second of reading that run. And finally, I also need to mention Ultimate Wolverine Volume 1 in terms of best books I've read so far this year, because this was, again, incredible. It's set within the Ultimate Universe, which is a slightly alternate take on the Marvel comic universe, and in this universe, Wolverine has been captured and turned into the Winter Soldier thanks to Illyana, aka Magic, and her brother Peter, aka Colossus. And it felt really like it had been written for me specifically, because I grew up loving Wolverine. He was my childhood hero. I absolutely adored him. I sobbed my heart out when he died in Logan. And now, as an adult, one of my all-time favourite characters is Bucky Barnes. I've got such a thing for him at the moment as well. He is my current hyperfixation. So then to see both of these characters essentially combined in a way was incredible, and genuinely felt like it had been written specifically for me, and it did not disappoint in any way. I loved the interpretation of Wolverine under these circumstances. I also loved the other mutants we saw in here. It also involved a character I absolutely adore from the X-Men who does not get enough love as well. I will not name them specifically in case you want to read this run, but genuinely every single part of this run was so much fun to read. I adored it, and it was an instant 5-star. Question number 2 is the best sequel I've read so far this year, and I've got to say Skulduggery Pleasant, A Soul Full of Shadows by Derek Landy, because this is the 18th book in the series, and I have never cried at this series before. Derek Landy had me nearly sobbing 4 times throughout it, which is not something that usually happens. I obviously can't go into detail because, like I said, it is the 18th book, but I will leave a link up above to my spoiler-filled reading vlog if you want to check it out. But just know this was an instant 5-star, just like all of the rest of them are, but this one had me sobbing, which does not happen often. Derek Landy tore my heart out with this one, and he is an evil, evil, evil genius for it. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but really want to, and that has got to be The Girl with a Thousand Faces by Sun Yi Dean, because I read Book Eaters a few years ago and absolutely adored it, and I've been wanting to read Sun Yi Dean ever since. This is her latest book and I just haven't had time to read it yet, and I am so desperate to, because I know I love Book Eaters. I know I'm going to love this one. I just haven't had time to read it yet, and I kind of hate myself for not having done it yet. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year, and to be honest, I haven't really had any major disappointments, so we're going to go into question 6, which is your biggest surprise of the year, and that is without doubt The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, aka V.E. Schwab and Kat Clark. And the reason why I'm counting this as the biggest surprise, even though this is a V.E. Schwab book, is because I am not a murder mystery reader. I love watching murder mysteries on TV and in film and in theatre and things like this, but I'm not usually someone who reads reads these types of stories, because I've always thought that I would really struggle, or have done in the past at the very least, really struggled to keep hold of what the clues are, who the victims are, who everybody else is, and everything else, and I just find it a little bit difficult. But then this one came along and I literally could not put it down the whole way through. I followed along really, really easily, and I literally read it in a day, which is not something I usually do. And after I actually finished it, I suddenly went, hey, maybe I can also really enjoy murder mysteries. Maybe it was just a thing in my youth. I was really struggling to read them, and now I should give them a second try, which really gives you an idea as to how much I really enjoyed this one and why it had to be the biggest surprise of my year so far. Question number 7 is a favourite new author, and again I have a couple of answers for this. The first one is Juno Dawson, because after reading HMRC I cannot not put her down as a new favourite author. I've currently also got her book Clean, but I have not read it yet, but I'm absolutely desperate to, because I know I'm going to really enjoy that one as well. And then the other one I've got to mention is Andy Weir, because I read The Martian this year and it was my first ever Andy Weir book and I absolutely adored it, and now I want to read the rest of his work. I've got Project Hail Mary because I absolutely fell for the hype after seeing the movie twice, but I have not read that one yet either. But again, I know I'm going to absolutely love it when I get to it. Question number 8 is your newest fictional crush, and I don't really get crushes on book characters anymore, so if I can expand this out into book adaptation characters, it's got to be Ryland Grace, because I mean, he was so cute, you know, he was so cute and so sweet and so funny, and I just could not help but fall in love with him while I was watching the movie. Question number 9 is your newest favourite fictional character, and I've actually got 2 for this. The first one is Antimony Price from Encrypted, and actually both of them are from Encrypted, but I've got to say Antimony Price first because she is the one I've read about most recently and fallen in love with most recently. But Antimony is fantastic. She's the youngest Price member. She is also the Wednesday Addams of the group, which I really enjoy as someone who absolutely adores Wednesday Addams. She is also a massive nerd, so she is a massive X-Men fan, for example. She's actually got a wall of X-Men comics, which frankly makes me jealous. I love all of her pop culture references as well. I think they are all fantastic, and they are all actually things that I really enjoy as well. So I really enjoyed that about her. And then I also love the fact that she is a knife-throwing trapeze artist derby girl who absolutely kicks ass in every single one of her books. She is brilliant, she's slightly reckless, she is absolutely bonkers, and I adore every single second of being inside her head. And quite frankly, I am actually sad that I'm not going to be inside her head anymore, because we're moving on to a different character in this series, because I enjoy her so much. And then the second one I have to mention is Grandma Alice, because Grandma Alice is Antimony's grandmother, and when you read about her, you suddenly see where Antimony gets it from, because her grandmother looks younger than her grandchildren. She's heavily tattooed, but those tattoos turns out to be spells that she can use in a scrape. She is heavily armed and actually makes most armies look unarmed, to be perfectly honest with you. And she also goes splunking through hell to go and find her missing husband, who's been missing for the last 30 years. She is brilliant on every single level. I never know what she's going to do next whenever she's on the page, and I am practically counting down the books until I get to her one, which is called Splunking Through Hell, because I'm so excited to get into her head and actually see things from her point of view, because so far we've just seen her from everybody else's point of view, and she is brilliant, and I just want to get into her head more. So very, very excited about her, and she has to be one of my all-time favourite characters of this series, and maybe in general. She is brilliant alongside Antimony. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I'm not really a book crier, so I'm just going to mention the 2 that have made me nearly tear up or actually cry this year, which were the exceptions to the rule, and that is HMRC by Juno Dawson, because I did not want to leave these characters behind because I adored them so much, and then also A Soul Full of Shadows by Derek Landy, because if you read this book you know what he did, and it just had me crying. I'm not kidding when I say he had me nearly crying 4 times, and one of them was just because 3 characters walked through the door. And that just had me going because of the context and everything else. He had me sobbing this year, and that is not normal for me. So shout out to this one and also HMRC for making me that emotional. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. First of all, Amari and the Metalwork Menace by B.B. Alston, because I absolutely adore this series. I love being back in this series, and the villain is literally a metalwork menace that reminded me of Doctor Doom, which made my nerd heart very, very happy. I also have to say the manga series, I Think Our Son Is Gay, because it is just so sweet and wholesome and feels like a hug. I adored it. And then also the final volume of Heartstopper for the exact same reason. It made me feel so warm inside and again felt like I was being hugged, which I adored. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year, and I mean Girl with a Thousand Faces. I mean, absolutely stunning cover. It is absolutely gorgeous on the front and also on the back. It's just absolutely stunning. By far the prettiest book I have gotten this year, apart from actually I've just got this one, which is The Firstborn of the Sun by Marvelous Michelle Anson, and I mean the foiling and everything else on the front and the back is absolutely stunning. I am obsessed with this cover and also this one. And finally, question number 13 is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And the shorter question is what books do I not need to read by the end of the year? But the short list includes The Lost Girls, which is by Sonia Hartle, as well as The Feeding by A.J. Ryan. I've also got The Firstborn of the Sun by Marvelous Michael Anson. There's also The Princess Bride, Look Out for the Little Guy, World Under Doom, The Rest of the Ultimate Universe, and a whole load of other things. So what I will do is actually leave a link up above to my priority of 2026 video, because that basically covers the ones I really want to read this year. And that is the end of the mid-year book freakout tag. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me your favourite book you have read so far this year. I would love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a book stack emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos where I'm hopefully actually going to read some of that priority list, please click subscribe here. And over here will be the link to my previous video. But till next time everyone, bye!